And we welcome you back to Knoxville. College baseball this afternoon on SEC TV, Fox Sports Net. And the Kentucky Wildcats set to take on the Tennessee Vols, and the Vols just taking the field. And let's go ahead and take a look at the lineups, and we'll begin with Kentucky. Green leads off, followed by Moore. Big John Wilson leads the Wildcats with 10 home runs. He is the career leader in round trippers for Kentucky. McGlone will be in left. Harrison will be at third base. Newton at first base. Morrison right. Price is the DH. And Meade, a little bit change in the lineup tonight, dropping down to the 9-hole.
A little bit of a change there, and then you look at Tennessee defensively. Moffitt's going to get the start in left today. A little bit of a switch for them. Baumtrog in center, Parker in right. Then around the infield, Bennett, Daniel, Burke in case their usual guys. Massey behind the plate has done a real solid job for them, coming as a transfer from Ole Miss. And Gates on the mound pitching today, a transfer from Sacramento State. This is going to be his second start in SEC play, and his first one against Ole Miss was very successful. Over 8 innings pitched and got his win.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Brian Gates. 6'1" right-hander from Granite Bay, California. Transfer from Sacramento State of the Big West Conference. Took shutouts in the 9th in his last start against Ole Miss last week. He opted to come all the way across the country and join the Tennessee Volunteers of the Southeastern Conference and not join his brother, who is currently a catcher at Cal State Fullerton. His mom's a flight attendant, and his dad had hoped to come in from the West Coast for this game today, but couldn't get a flight. So a special hello to them. I know they're watching today on TV.
Yeah, Brian Gates, a good pitcher for Tennessee, done a great job for him. He said he came here for opportunity. You know, he said he wanted to play with his brother at Fullerton, but that wasn't his number one thing. He wanted a place to pitch, and he's found one here at Tennessee. When he locates his fastball, he's pretty tough, Dave. This is a guy who's got a good sinking fastball. There's a cut fastball, curve, and a changeup, but the sinker, that's his out pitch. And if he has that working well, he could be in for a good day.
I asked him yesterday, I said, what's your best pitch? And Brian Gates told me, I don't have one. I need everything to be working. He'll go primarily with a two-seam fastball, although he will throw a four-seamer at times to left-handers on occasion. And we're anticipating that we'll see fastballs primarily from him. He'll go with that two-seam fastball 80 to 90% of the time.
Yeah, if we see a lot of ground balls, if he's getting a lot of ground ball outs, that means he's in rhythm. That's when he knows he's pitching well.
So Andy Green steps in for the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky trying to make it 2 in a row over the Vols. They won 7-5 in 10 innings last night.
This guy is stepping up to the plate now. Andy Green, he really helps make them go 2 for 5 last night, and the Wildcats 7-5 victory in 10 innings over the Vols. He sets the table for him, comes in checking with a robust 4.02 average on the season.
Boy, most of the teams in the SEC hitting over 300 as a team. Chopper to short. Daniel dropped it, picked it up. That's going to be an E6. Stevie Daniel had some problems defensively in his freshman season, a season in which he earned All-American honors. He had an error last night.
And sometimes you have to look at the errors and you take them with a grain of salt, because sometimes guys make errors because of range. They get the balls that other people don't get to.
Right.
In this case, this is just a routine play for Stevie Daniel. Just wasn't able to make it. Not the way Tennessee wants to start this ball game, putting a runner on for free.
So Gates will work from the stretch. First pitch to Beau Moore is high. See Moore's numbers on the season. He has gone deep once.
Kentucky doesn't run a whole heck of a lot, Dave, but when they do, Andy Green's one of the guys they have going. 12 for 15 on the year in steals. Was caught stealing in last night's ball game in his only attempt. Actually was picked off, by Jamie Bennett, Tennessee's fine left-hander. Made a great move. He ended up being caught stealing on the play.
Moore, junior from Lexington. Kentucky jumped out Tennessee jumped out to an early lead in last night's game. Kentucky would like to get on the board first. Green with a good lead. Here's the pitch. Squares to bunt. Goes right through it. That's a strike, and the count levels at 1-1.
See Beau Moore at the plate. One of the changes in the lineup from last night by Coach Keith Madison. Beau, now they're getting the start today. Only hitting .211 on the year, but he has a lot of speed, and they expect to see him hit behind Andy Green to help him move along.
Just underway from Lindsey Nelson Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. College baseball today. Fox Sports Net. Glad you could join us. And obviously in the early going, Green has definitely got the attention of Gates.
And what we're seeing now harkens back to what we talked about in the opener, just in reverse. We talked about what Kentucky's pitchers are going to do to try and slow down Tennessee's find speedy base runners. We're seeing right now Gates taking his time, throwing over, stepping off, varying his rhythm and his delivery, trying to make sure that Green doesn't get a good jump towards second.
Kentucky coach Keith Madison told us that he's a little concerned about his ball club giving up late runs. They played an awful lot of close games. Safe. Close play at first base. Green just got in there ahead of the tag attempts by Ryan Cates.
And that was close. He caught him leaning towards second. Comes in there, you know, it's one of those bang plays. Umpire saw that Green got back to the bag underneath the tag. Tennessee people saw it differently, but of course the umpire's decision always wins.
Popped up punt attempt, and it is caught by Massey. Massey makes the catch on the foul pop, and that is the first out of the inning.
Nice play by John Massey coming out from behind the plate. Go over and glove the bunt attempt there by Beau Moore. He popped it in the air. Obviously not what Keith Madison wanted him to do. And Massey hustling all the way and sliding. The field's going to be a little bit wet today. We had a rain shower here approximately 2 hours before game time. It lasted a little longer than they expected. Field has held up well, but things will be a little bit slick today.
All right, here's the big bopper for Kentucky in their lineup. Right-handed swinger John Wilson. Tennessee kept him relatively under control in the first game of this series yesterday, but he is a threat to break out at any time.
Yeah, he was 0 for 4 in last night's ball game with a walk, and that just increases the number. He has 16 base on balls already this year because teams like to pitch around him. The guy last year just had a monster year, hit over 20 home runs, 56 RBIs, and he's the choice by most coaches for preseason SEC Player of the Year. Fine baseball.
The pitch by Gates is high for a ball. Ball's outfield plays a little bit around to left for him, and there's your player profile. Look at that slugging percentage. 860, outstanding.
Yeah, I didn't hit 860 in my imaginary wiffle ball games in the backyard. I mean, you know, slugging percentage of that. I mean, that's just incredible what he does. And he's just an incredible story, this young man, battling back from a lot of adversity, and not just battling back, but battling back so well and playing so well. He's the heart and soul of this Kentucky Wildcat team.
Pitch is high, 2-0. Gates in the early going, very deliberate.
And that goes contrary to the scouting report you get from Rod Delmonico. He told one of the pleasures of playing behind Brian Gates is the fact that he works quickly, and that keeps the defense on their toes and moving. But right now he's in a little bit of a jam, and he's working a little bit slower than that.
Pitch is low, ball 3. So one more pitch, and Kentucky's going to have a runner in scoring position with nobody out here in the top of the first. Wilson, a junior from Northridge, California. Here's the pitch, and it is ball 4. So Gates walks Wilson on 4 pitches, and 2 have reached here in the Wildcat half of the first.
Well, no coach likes to see people walk. I mean, the pitching coach for Tennessee, Randy Mazie, he doesn't want to see that, but he calls the pitches also. The other thing he doesn't want to see is the ball leaving the yard, courtesy of John Wilson's bat. So they're going to be very careful about how they pitch to him, especially in run-producing situations. And no matter what, you don't want to put anything on the inside part of the plate for him to hit.
Here's Aaron McGlone. McGlone with a big rip on the first offering from Gates. Green has moved down into second base. He led off this game aboard via an air. Beau Moore popped up to the catcher, and then Wilson walked. 2 on, 1 out.
So McGlone's numbers up there a second ago. Another one of the heavy hitters in the Kentucky lineup. They dropped him down tonight, hitting in the 4 slot. Last night, I believe he hit second for the ball game. So that's the guy that they expect to produce some runs. 1 for 3 last night. 2 RBI and 2 walks. Guy you have to be very careful with at the plate.
This is game number 26 for Kentucky, and this is the first time this season that McGlone has been in the cleanup spot. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. just underway from Knoxville. McGlone, sharply hit single into right field. They're going to send Green home. Here's the throw, cut off, and Kentucky's got an early 1-0 lead. Sharply hit ball into right field. Green came home no problem, and Kentucky draws first blood, 1-0.
That's why Aaron McGlone was hitting in the 4-hole versus a right-handed pitcher. McGlone, a left-handed batter. They want to make sure they get the right matchups. Keith Madison putting him in the 4 slot today. Waits the count. Gets his pitch, pulls it in the right field for the RBI single to get things started for Kentucky.
And for McGlone, that is RBI number 27 on the season. Now the right-handed swinging Vince Harrison, the third baseman of the Wildcats, steps in. And Kentucky trying to go for additional runs. 1 already in, 2 aboard, still just 1 out here in the top of the first. Harrison takes a look at a low pitch, ball 1.
Vince Harrison hit in the 4 slot last night and played an excellent game at third base, had 6 assists, made some fine plays in the field, and just recently had a long hitting streak broken up in the game before they came here for this series. He had been looking at a 13-game hitting streak, and had that broken before he got here.
Gates is able to get the breaking ball over for a called strike. Harrison, sophomore from Cincinnati, Ohio, steps up to the plate with a runner in scoring position. Still just 1 out.
I mentioned earlier, Dave, that Tennessee jumped out to the 2-0 lead last night. Harrison drives one to center field.
Baumtrog is under it. He makes the catch. Wilson tags and will make it to third. So Wilson moves over to third with 2 outs. And Robert Newton, the first baseman, steps in to face Gates.
Another left-handed batter coming to the plate for Gates. See right now, John Massey, the catcher, looking to the dugout to make sure that the infield's coordinated on the plays. When you have runners on first and third, they're wanting to see if Keith Madison wants to put something on for Kentucky. John Massey checking with Rod Delmonico, his head coach, to make sure the infield has proper calls and gets ready to go.
UK looking for a clutch 2-out hit here from Newton. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. First pitch from Gates is high. Ball 1. So Massey wants to go out and have just a little bit of a chat here. They'd like to close down this UK rally right here with only 1 run scoring.
Well, make sure your signals are straight in this situation, Dave. When the catcher goes out and talks with the pitcher in that situation, especially with first and third, he already has the defense coordinated, making sure that the catcher and the pitcher are on the same page. You don't want to get crossed up and have a pass ball that will lead to a run.
You're right. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Sliced foul down into the bullpen in left field. After 2 out of the first 3 men to come to the plate here to begin the game reached, Kentucky has pushed across a run. The Cats have runners on the corners right now. They'd love to pick up a second run.
This would do a lot for Brian Gates' confidence if he's able to close the door here and put Newton down and get out of the inning.
Gates comes set. Here's the 1-1 with 2 outs. Breaking ball just stays outside. 2-1.
One thing Rod Delmonico told us, a good thing about Brian Gates is that, well, you know, he's at Sacramento State. People don't think of that as a baseball hotbed, but the good thing is that Brian Gates played against Long Beach State. He played against Stanford. You know, he played against Fullerton. So he's been in some games with some pretty high-powered people, some high-powered teams. He's not afraid of who he's playing, as evidenced by his own nearly complete game victory against Ole Miss.
He also comes from Sacramento State, where he had a 3-8 record last year overall, but he was one of the team leaders in ERA.
Didn't get a lot of run support from the team. They were getting less than 4 runs a game, I believe, every time he went out to pitch. In college baseball, that's not very many runs.
And another foul ball sliced straight back by Robert Newton. Newton, a junior from West Lafayette, Indiana. Let's say they're they're pretty fired up about the Purdue Boilermakers these days.
Yeah, I would think so, with a team that's got a chance to go to the Final Four, playing in a regional final against a Big Ten rival, Wisconsin.
Just got a piece of it and stays alive. The count holds at 2-2. You know, after the rain showers we had a couple of hours ago, and it was raining hard here for a while, it's turned into a very pleasant evening.
It is a beautiful afternoon here, as we mentioned before. The field will be a little bit wet, though. You saw the outfielders when they were going after balls. You see the water coming up as they run after the ball. So, you know, it's going to be a little wet out there, but overall, the fans are going to be very, very comfortable. Beautiful, very pretty day.
Served into center field. It is going to hold up for Baumtrog. He's able to make the catch, and Kentucky is retired. In the inning, a run on a hit, 2 left. Kentucky leads Tennessee. The balls are coming up.
Let me win. Let me win. Let me win. Let me win.
But if I cannot win.
But if I cannot win.
But if I cannot win.
Let me be brave. Let me be brave.
Let me be brave in their attempt. The special witness.
The Southeastern Conference.
Good meeting, don't you think?
Yeah, it was great. Oh, shoot, I forgot to call the office.
Oh, here, use my phone.
Okay. UNC. Class of 88.
Oh. At Alltel, get a free faceplate in the colors of your favorite ACC team when you buy a Nokia 5180 digital phone. And play the colors of the conference scratch game. Every card offers a prize or value.
And there's a nice panoramic view of Lindsey Nelson Stadium here in Knoxville, Tennessee. SEC baseball this afternoon. The Vols coming to bat in the bottom of the first inning, trailing UK 1-0. Let's go ahead and take a look at the starting lineup for the Tennessee Volunteers, and they have plenty of speed at the top, where Chris Burke will lead off, followed by Bennett at third. Christensen is the DH today, leads the team with 7 home runs, had 1 last night. Stevie Daniel will be in the cleanup spot. Parker in right. Massey will be behind the plate, and he will hit in the number 6 hole. Moffett, in addition to the starting lineup today. Case will bat in the 8th spot, and Baumtrog will bat 9th and play center field.
And there's defense. Aaron McGlone, Beau Moore getting the start in center, Morris in right, Harrison, Meade, Green, Newton around the infield, Wilson behind the plate, and Scott Wade pitching. Getting hit on the first pitch.
Doggone, Chris Burke. He didn't wait long, did he? He took the first pitch and roped it out to right for a base hit.
Obviously, neither one of them was listening to our broadcast here, our telecast. We're trying to get the lineups in. These guys are ready to go. 1 pitch, 1 man on.
Our starting pitcher today for Kentucky is Scott Wade, freshman right-hander from Tennessee, Kingsport, Sullivan South High School. He's had 3 quality starts this year, had a complete game against Eastern Illinois. And after 1 pitch of the game, he's working from the stretch. Here is Kris Bennett.
And Scott Wade from Sullivan South. He's got a lot of support here today, and one thing his coach was worried about is that he may try to do too much because he wants to impress the home folks that he's back in town. Right now, he needs to bear down and concentrate on pitching to Kris Bennett and making sure that he can keep Chris Burke on first base if at all possible. Tennessee, with over 100 stolen bases already in this young season, loves to get out and go.
Oh, they love to run. And we mentioned in the pregame, Charles, well, that's one of the big challenges for UK is to keep those runners close. Robert Newton did a good job there blocking that errant pickoff attempt from the pitcher, Scott Wade. Kept the ball in front of him.
And there's such a fine line that you have to walk through as a pitcher between concentrating on the base runner and also doing your job and getting the hitter out. You have to be able to do both of those equally well. It's a real tightrope that you walk.
Here's the pitch. Shot through into right field, base hit. And Burke is going to come to third, and he is out. Great throw from right field, Morris to Harrison. And that's how you keep that speed contained, huh?
That is, and Tennessee is so aggressive that occasionally you get overly aggressive. That ball was hit to right field, and the ball went in front of Chris Burke. He had to stop and hold up as the ball went through because he didn't want it to hit him and cause him to be out. When he had to hold up, that cost him steps trying to get from first to third. He went ahead and forced it anyway. He wanted to make sure that Morris was going to make a play, and he sure did. A great throw from right field to third base with plenty to spare on tagging him out.
Seth Morris, the gatekeeper. He shall not pass. And now, this is Jeff Christensen, the DH, stepping in. Christensen's been on a roll. He's homered in his last 2 games. In fact, he homered in his last at-bat against Cincinnati, and then homered last night in his first at-bat against Kentucky. Pitch inside, just off the corner. And the count is 1-1.
And he homered off the one we saw last night was an inside pitch, an inside fastball, and he turned on that one. That got out in a hurry.
That was a rocket out to right center for a solo home run. So Wade comes set. Here's the pitch. And it's a called strike, 1-2.
Nice pitch by Scott Wade. You know, one thing people always talk about is pitchers have to be able to work the inside of the plate, and in the college game you don't do that very often because you tend to get hurt. Even when you saw a guy off with an aluminum bat, the bat doesn't break, so you get a lot of blue pits. So pitchers try to rely more on fooling guys than they do. You always hear pro scouts talking about lamenting the fact we don't get the good fastballers anymore. Scott Wade came inside with a good one on 2 pitches ago.
Christensen, a junior, 2-year letterman from right here in Knoxville Catholic High School, swings and misses. And he goes down on strikes. 2 outs now in the bottom of the first. So Stevie Daniel, the shortstop, heads to the plate. And it was Daniel's error in the top of the first inning that opened the door for Kentucky's first run, and so far the only run in this game. He'd love to atone for that, I'm sure. Steps in from the right side. 3:20 on the year. And just as we expected, Kentucky trying to keep those runners close if they can.
Tennessee, you know, having 2 outs now with a runner on first, they'd love to have that runner in scoring position to give Stevie Daniel a chance to bring him in. So don't be, obviously Kentucky's expecting them to try and try and run in this situation.
Daniel, sophomore, Jacks Creek, Tennessee, Northside High School, coming off a sensational freshman year, a year in which he was named as a freshman All-American. Here's the pitch. Throw down to second base. Wilson guns him out. Kris Bennett is retired, and so are the Tennessee Volunteers in the first. Tennessee, a little bit of frustration on the bases. We played 1 inning in Knoxville. We'll step aside from Lindsey Nelson Stadium and return in just a moment.
If you were going to build the perfect lawn and garden tractor, what would it look like? Would it have a direct drive shaft? A hydraulic deck lift? What about a cast iron front axle or a welded steel frame? How easy would your tractor be to operate? Would it have power steering and cruise control? How about an automatic transmission? Would your tractor have a cup holder? See, the reason we ask is we've already built that tractor, the Cub Cadet, the world's best designed lawn and garden tractor. Call this number now to find out what makes the Cub Cadet that much better than an ordinary tractor. We'll also tell you the name of the dealer near you. And if you call now, we'll even give you 6 months, same as cash. This is the tractor you've always wanted. The one you should have bought in the first place. The one you'll never want to give up. Cub Cadet. Call now and feel the difference for yourself. All the hard-hitting, heart-pounding excitement that is the sweet science. Sunday Night Fights, now at 8 Eastern on Fox Sports Net. Sunday on Going Deep. He's successful. He's controversial. But is he a victim of his own reputation?
It's not true that everybody in baseball hates me.
The Inside Pitch with Bobby Valentine. Going Deep, Sunday at 7 Eastern.
Kentucky with a 1-0 lead on Tennessee after one complete here in Knoxville. And John Wilson getting it done.
They got it done with some good help from Scott Wade, his pitcher. The few throws over, takes a little steam out of the legs of the base runner. He's going down, plenty to spare. Excellent throw. And guns him down. Tennessee trying to run themselves into an opportunity to score a run in the inning, trying to get a runner to second with 2 outs, unable to do so. Fine play by the pitcher and the catcher. Good coordination, holding the base runner, giving the catcher a chance.
All right, Brian Gates on the mound for Tennessee, set to work the second inning, and the first pitch to Seth Morris, the right-handed hitting right fielder, is a ball. Morris at .282 on the season, a homer and 17 RBI. Solidly hit the center field. Baumtrog turns, watches it go over his head and into the gap. He'll catch it at the base of the wall, and Morris will be content with a leadoff stand-up double here to begin the top of the second.
Well hit ball by Seth Morris. Getting them started. Already got a runner in scoring position, no one out. See him concentrate, staying with it the whole way. Head on the baseball, as the batting coach likes to talk about. Always keeping your eyes with it. Getting the bat extended, knocking into the right center field gap before Baumtrog could track it down and throw it in.
Breck Price steps in. Price is the DH, swinging from the left side. 255, still looking for that first homer. I'm sure he'd be content to get a single and get the runner Morris home from second base. So Kentucky threatening again here in the second after they put a single run on the board in the first. Next pitch stays outside, 2-0.
So the numbers there for Breck Morris, they're still looking, for Breck Price, they're looking for him to get that breakout. You know, he's got a young man with a lot of power and a real strong hitter for them. He's also the team's closer, so he splits a lot of duty, doesn't get as many at-bats as maybe a lot of other DHs would get.
Coach Madison told us yesterday that he's still waiting for Price to break out. He put up some good power numbers last year, but somehow, some way, that power stroke has gone away this season. But as you mentioned, he's also the closer, so he's a busy guy down in that UK dugout. Here's the next pitch. It's a called strike, 3-1.
And he's one of those young guys. Everyone needs to stay in the game when they're on the bench, but he needs to do so especially. He doesn't know when Coach Madison's calling him to go to the plate. Wants to go to the bullpen and warm up, get ready to go. He's got to stay with it at all times.
Price Sr. from Birmingham draws a walk, so the first two have reached here in the second for UK. And that brings the number 9 man in the order today, shortstop Jeff Meade, to the plate.
Jeff Meade hitting .278 on the season, Dave, and 1 home run and 16 RBI, but he was 2 for 5 last night with 2 RBI and scored a run. He also struck out 2 times, so it was almost feast or famine for Jeff Meade last night. Right now, this is where, for Tennessee, Brian Gates really needs a strikeout or a double play ball.
So Gates trying to battle. First two have reached here in the second. UK already leads 1-0. Meade squares the bunt. Goes to third. They'll take the force at second, and that's all they'll get. Kris Bennett was even with the grass at third and really didn't have the option to wait to see if that ball was going to roll foul. He was aggressive on the play, made the pick, went to second for the force. 1 out, but UK has a runner just 90 feet away with only 1 out here in the top of the second.
Good play by Kris Bennett is all he could do. Nice job by Jeff Meade getting the bunt down and making Kris Bennett make a play on it. He brought him in so they couldn't get a play at third, couldn't get the lead runner. He had to go to second, made a strong throw and was able to get him. But now, as you mentioned, first and third, so now Kentucky has a chance to put some plays on and put the pressure on Tennessee, something that we thought coming into the game, Tennessee would have more options to put the pressure on Kentucky with their running game.
We'll go back to the top of the order as Andy Green steps in for his second at bat in as many innings, and he will bunt this time to the first base side, and nobody covers the bag. Gates picked up the bunt. There was no one on the bag, and Morris scores. It's 2-0.
That's an excellent play for Kentucky. I talked with Keith Madison before the ball game, and he said last night in their victory, he felt like that his team didn't execute very well, but they competed well. Today they executed. 2 straight times he calls for the bunt. This time it's the safety squeeze. Gets the run in from third. Tennessee doesn't execute very well because they can't figure out who picks up the ball and who has to cover the base. Ends up with a runner on.
For the Vols, 30 games into the season, that's kind of an unexcusable mistake. Foul ball straight back by Beau Moore. Moore was the hero in last night's game. He doubled home pinch runner Brad Pickrell in the 10th inning for the go-ahead run, and UK went ahead and won that game 7-5.
When you double home the winning runs, you're often rewarded with a start the next day.
Yeah.
And Beau Moore, capitalizing on that, does get the start in center field.
Here's the pitch to Moore, and Moore squared around as if the bunt, pulled the bat back.
You go back to the play that happened, you know, when Andy Green laid down the bunt, Tennessee wasn't able to get their execution. That's one of those ones that immediately goes down onto the note cards. And Rod Delmonico got something for he and his team, Larry Simcox, their defensive coach, to work on. Make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Pitch over the plate, called strike, 1-2.
One thing we do need to say, though, that was a really good bunt.
That was a great bunt.
Andy Green put it in the right spot, and they force you to execute. And if you don't, then they capitalize. Good job by Andy Green, pushing it to the right side of the field so that his team has a better opportunity to get that run home. He's able to get everything accomplished.
Meade's at second, Green at first, a run already in, and the pitch to Moore, he got a mighty rip, and he fouls it straight back, 1-2. 2, 3, and 0 in the early going for Tennessee, rather for Kentucky. Tennessee with 2 hits on the board, still looking for their first run.
This is where Brian Gates would really love to get a double play ball. You know, be able to get 2 and get out of the inning, go back and regroup.
Moore to second, could be 2, and the Vols turn it. Parker, brother Burke to Daniel to first. 4-6-3 double play. Tennessee dodges a bullet, but the Cats still lead it 2-0.
Now, Cornerstone Promotions brings back the spirit of the 60s with the greatest songs of an unforgettable era.
Give me a head with hair, long, beautiful hair. To everything, this is the dawning of the end. In the white room with black curtains, looking at the scenery, breaking my mind. You and I travel to the beat of a different drum. Come on, people now.
Spirit of the 60s on 2 cassettes or 2 CDs. Call this toll-free number for Spirit of the 60s. Cassettes $19.98, CDs $26.98 plus $5.50 shipping. Have your credit card ready and call now.
And welcome back to Knoxville. Kentucky with an early 2-0 lead on Tennessee. Bottom of the second inning. This is game 2 of a 3-game series. Cats won last night 7-5 in 10. Trying to get it done again tonight.
Yeah, taking the early lead. Last night they battled from behind to claim that victory. And today they're playing from the front. Hey, you know, isn't that appropriate for a team from Bluegrass State where the Kentucky Derby's held?
That's right.
Going to the front.
Get your nose in front.
There's their jockey, Keith Madison, right now, trying to maintain the pace. Right now they're just coming around the first curve right now, though, Dave. It's still early in this game.
You know, when we talked to him yesterday, he's been the head baseball coach at Kentucky since 1979, and when I mentioned that he was in his 4th decade at UK, he never thought of that before. I don't think he liked it.
He didn't want to hear anything about decades.
No.
Keith Madison is only 42 years old. He became the head coach of Kentucky at the age of 26.
That's unbelievable.
And has been there ever since. And as he told us yesterday, the only job he's ever wanted, and the only job he's really wanted to keep, he's had other opportunities, but he hasn't taken them.
Stevie Daniel with the grounder to short. Meade was able to make the play. That was a high throw. Newton was able to keep his back foot on the bag.
He made it a little exciting there.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite. It should have been a little more routine, but the out was recorded, and that's the important thing for them. Did you You go back to Keith Madison, he was drafted out of high school, went and played 5 years of minor league baseball, worked in the off season and got his degree. So every time people talk about guys having trouble doing that, I say, well, Keith Madison got it done, got his degree in geography from Western Kentucky, which is where he's from, near Bowling Green. So he's always been a cat at heart, he told us. He said he'd go watch the basketball games at Diddle Arena, EA Diddle Arena, with a radio up to his ear, listening to the Wildcat games, listening to Kaywood Ledford. The only job he's ever wanted, probably the only job he'll ever have, because he'll be at Kentucky as long as he wants to be.
Yeah, he was saying he was a big fan of Western Kentucky as well. Watched Big Jim McDaniel play for the Hilltoppers.
Big Jim McDaniel, and that was a team that went to the Final Four, although their final finish was voided because of some NCAA problems. Remember that. But Jim McDaniel went on and had a nice career in the NBA and the ABA.
Now Justin Parker, the right fielder, is in. Gets a mighty rip and fouls it straight back, and the count is 2-2. One out here, bottom of the second. Kentucky leads Tennessee 2-0. Tennessee had 2 hits in the first inning. But Chris Burke was thrown out at third base trying to go from first to third on a single by Kris Bennett. And then Bennett was thrown out by Wilson attempting to steal second base.
Yeah, that's one of the times where the running game didn't help Tennessee, but don't expect to see them back off from it either.
Oh, no.
They've had far more success than they've had failure in trying to run themselves into innings. And don't expect Rod Delmonico to ask them to back off at all. Guy at the plate, Justin Parker, had a 20-game hitting streak snapped during the 2-game series they had with Cincinnati before Kentucky got to town. Had been swinging the bat very, very well. Had a tough night last night. He's 1 for 5 and scored a run, but he had 2 strikeouts, and that's not normal for him. So maybe he's going to try and get back in the groove today.
Parker got the turn on that pitch, but sent it foul down the right field line. Kentucky outfield is playing him to spray the ball to left.
Big gap between center and right field, as you mentioned, Dave, because of the way they're playing. It goes right to where the scouting report was.
And played perfectly. Somebody's got to take charge out there, and it is the left fielder, McGlone. He makes the catch, and the first 2 are retired here in the Tennessee Volunteers second. John Massey, the catcher, now comes to the plate. Massey will swing it from the right side. He's a transfer from the University of Mississippi. He was released from his scholarship in Oxford, so he didn't have to sit out a year. Foul ball down the right field line, strike 1.
And in the world of big-time athletics, that doesn't always happen. There's a great amount of cooperation there shown by the Ole Miss Athletics Department, and working with the young man, knowing where he wanted to go, and giving him that opportunity to come here. And he's really solidified the catch position to get the base hit to left.
So Massey with a 2-out base knock to left. Ripped that one in the hole between Meade and Harrison. And the inning stays alive for left fielder Ryan Moffett.
Good piece of hitting by Massey. Again, head on the ball, able to drive it into the gap between third and short. Gives them a base runner with 2 outs and a man on first again. But this is not a situation where you're expecting a Tennessee base runner to run to second. They're going to have to work a little bit harder at it this time. They're trying to run a guy to second to get him in the scoring position for the batter. This time, you're looking at Ryan Moffett getting the start today. A local kid from Bearden High School here in Knoxville has been hitting the ball very well. Just not enough spots in the outfield to play 4. He can only play 3. And Coach Delmonico has to make a decision each and every time. But he's going to have to bat John Massey around. Don't expect to see him run.
All right, so Wade got that tailing fastball to run away from the right-handed hitting Moffett. And he's ahead in the count 0-2. 2 outs. And there's another base hit between short and third. So 2 out singles into left field for the Balls here in the bottom of the second.
Moffett looked bad on the swing before. Got weighted, fooled him pretty well, but kept his poise, stayed in there, and drives it in the same spot that John Massey did. Figured, well, it worked well for him. Why not me?
Hey, he didn't look too bad on that swing. Made solid contact and ripped it right into left. 2 on, 2 out. UK leads the Vols 2-0. This is Ryan Case, the first baseman.
Good glove man. Batting average he'd love to have a little bit higher, and it's a great situation for him to get an RBI. Since he does have that runner on second now, they didn't have to run to try and get it done. 2 base hits, puts the runner in scoring position.
First pitch is a strike. Boy, look at Case right up on top of the plate. That back foot couldn't be any closer. Just off the plate. Look at that, right on the line.
Almost he's daring Scott Wade to come inside on him.
I mean, he's got his body in the strike zone. And he rips it, and that's a third consecutive hit into left field. And that is going to bring home Massey. He will score. So the Vols hang 3 consecutive 2-out singles to left. And Case delivers the RBI that brings home Massey.
3 straight hits to left field. Case getting around on it. Solid shot. Vince Harrison diving at third, trying to get it. Gets under his glove. Ball gets to the outfield. See Massey, good job of base running, because he knows he's not the fastest guy in the world, but you notice how he cut that corner sharp. Didn't take any extra steps in rounding third and coming home, making sure he got there as quickly as he could in as straight a line as he could. A nice job by John Massey.
Certainly. Now they want to talk about it a bit out on the mound. And that is Greg Goff, new pitching coach for Kentucky. Relatively new, came over from SEMO. And all the guys on the team were telling me he is one intense guy.
Yeah, good. When you talk about SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, another team that, another program that sent a basketball team to the NCAA tournament in the men's ball, and it has a good tradition there. Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Yeah,
and when you talk about intense with Greg Goff, it's already gotten around the league how intense he is. Because we talked with Rod Delmonico, and he said he's done a great job with that program. They're already in better condition. The kids are tougher already. He's really done well.
Here's a 2-out bunt. Wade let it go. I think he wanted to allow Harrison to make the play, but by that time Vince had already passed the ball, so it will go for a single, and the bases are loaded. So the Vols with 4 consecutive 2-out singles.
You remember an inning ago, the Vols had a little trouble deciding who was going to make the play on a bunt. Turnabout is fair play as far as they're concerned. Scott Wade not able to make the play. It does go down as a hit. The Vols have the bases loaded, bring up Chris Burke. Their heart and soul. We talk about John Wilson for Kentucky. Chris Burke is the team leader for Tennessee. As he goes, so go the Vols.
Well, Wade thought he had it going on here in the second. He retired the first 2 men in order. And then the Vols strung together 4 consecutive singles. 3 2-out singles to left and a bunt single. There's a shot to center by Burke, but it is going to hang up long enough for Moore to make the grab. But in the inning, 1 run, 4 hits, no errors. They left them full. We played 2. It's 2-1 UK.
The Toyota Blue Sky Spring Event, where you can lease a new Tundra for $299 a month for 48 months with $17.98 due at lease signing. At your Toyota dealer, you'll also find great values on a huge selection of brand new Toyotas, including the new Tundra, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. And at $299 a month, there's never been a better time to drive one home. Toyota's Blue Sky Spring Event at your Toyota dealer.
Imagine a technology so advanced you'll hit longer and straighter than ever before. Introducing the Tri-Metal Plus Fairway Woods by Olimar. It has a new high-performance shaft for greater club head speed. And it's the only fairway wood with the proven Tri-Metal technology and deeper alpha miraging face that's harder than titanium, so the ball explodes off the club face. Copper tungsten weights lower the center of gravity, making it easier to get the ball airborne and land it softly on the green. The result? Explosive distance that will dramatically improve your game. Last season, the Tri-Metal was the #1 played fairway wood model on both the PGA and Senior PGA Tours.
This is the longest and straightest club I've ever played. Put them in your bag today. The best just got better. Don't settle for less.
Call 877-TRI-METAL now. Try them for 30 days. If you're not hitting the ball longer and straighter, you'll get a full refund. The Tri-Metal Plus. Because it's all about distance.
And we are set to move to the top of the third. SEC baseball tonight on Fox Sports Net. Got a good one. Two old rivals, Kentucky and Tennessee. And Brian Gates, he's been a little trouble the first couple of innings. And he's set to face that potent Kentucky lineup here in the top of the third. UK with a 2-1 lead. Tennessee with 6 hits, twice as many as the Cats. But UK have 2 runs on the board. And Wilson sends this one deep to center. Back goes Baumtrog, and he makes the catch. And if you're a pitcher, anytime you can get Wilson out, it's a good moment.
And you love to see him come to the plate as the leadoff hitter because you pitch him differently then. Randy Massey, the pitching coach for Tennessee, is going to call different pitches. So that gives you a chance to get him out, and only 1 run can be given up. And now Aaron McGlone coming to the plate. And, let's go back to the first inning when he was batting. He's now batting in the cleanup spot. Aaron McGlone drove in the first run of the game. So this young man, very, very potent with the stick.
All right, here he is back in the first inning, delivering an RBI for UK.
Reminiscent of the hits we've seen recently in last inning for Tennessee. Sharply hit balls. McGlone being a left-hander, he pulled it to the right side of the infield. The Tennessee batters, all were right-handers. They pulled it to the left side, but McGlone, sharp piece of hitting in the first inning, scoring the first run of the game for Kentucky.
I didn't really notice that the first time. They did a good job covering the infield when the rains came a couple hours ago. That replay showed that there are some spots here where it's a little bit treacherous. There's still a little bit of standing water in that outfield.
Yeah, you can't cover everything.
No.
They haven't pulled the tarp over the outfield in any stadium we've ever seen yet. We'd be here all day and all night putting it on and taking it off. So the outfield is always the place that's going to catch the most water when there is a rain delay.
But believe me, with Tennessee, they like to play small ball. They like to run. The moment there was any hint of rain, they had that tarp down on the infield. They wanted to keep these base paths quick.
And the good thing about college baseball is the players are out there helping put the tarp down and take it up. It's not just the grounds crew.
3-2 payoff pitch. McGlone skies at the left. Moffett makes the catch. 2 away.
Now, go back to the start of the inning with John Wilson when he came to the plate, and then McGlone who fouled him after Wilson was out. These are heavy hitters for Kentucky, but for Tennessee, if you're Brian Gates, if it's just them batting and there's no one on base, you're pitching differently. You're able to be a little more aggressive with them, go after them with some of your better stuff, because, again, if you make a mistake, it's only 1 run in that situation. It isn't multiple base runners. Randy Massey, his pitching coach, knows that. Will call a different game based on that situation.
Yeah, I asked him yesterday if there were any situations if he would go inside to Wilson, and they said they really didn't want to challenge him too much unless he was guessing that way, that they just want to keep the ball down. They want to keep the ball away from him if possible. They've got to concentrate on Vince Harrison now, the third baseman. Harrison skied to center back in the first inning. 2 away here in the top of the third. Just off the inside portion of the plate for the right-handed swinging Harrison. 2-1.
And I talked about how nifty he was last night with the glove, with the 6 put out to third. Made some very nice plays for Kentucky in the infield. Started a couple of double plays last night to help them get out of innings.
So Gates is threatening to produce his first 1-2-3 inning here on the mound for Tennessee. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Shot to short. Daniel up with it. Throws on the run. And UK's retired. 3 up, 3 down for the Wildcats here in the third. Middle of the third, Tennessee trails 2-1.
I'm Roy Kramer, Commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. The SEC has long been known for its athletic prowess, but let me tell you what I'm really proud of.
The commitment to academic excellence and community service our student athletes demonstrate. Last year, over 1,000 student athletes were named to the Conference Academic Honor Roll and Community Service Good Works team. That's what I'm really proud of. The Southeastern Conference. Today's student athletes, tomorrow's leaders.
Just chilling. Tennessee on the bench. trailing Kentucky 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the third inning. And what a difference a year makes, Charles. Let's take a look at the Vols' 30 games this year as opposed to last year when they ended the season at exactly 500.
And they were almost at 500 at the same stage. They were 2 games above at the time. Batting average was down compared to this year. Team ERA was way high. You know, we talk Rod Delmonico, the reason for the turnaround this year. He said, we knew we could catch it. We knew we could run. We need to pitch better. They got a couple of guys off the disabled list from last year, some new blood pitching, and that's allowed them to become a much better team. And much scrappier, more hard-nosed because the team knows they win every ball game now.
Kris Bennett at the plate, and a fly ball to McGlone, who handles it for the first out of the inning. And quickly, one is down here in the bottom of the third. Here comes Jeff Christensen, the DH.
You go back to Tennessee and what Rod Delmonico, their head coach, has done for them, taking them to, the regional finals, to the College World Series in 1995, has won the SEC championship twice, won the Eastern Division 4 times. He's really established a proud tradition here of baseball at Tennessee. The last 2 years have not ended in postseason play. That's something he wants to correct this year. That's not something he's used to. Remember, Rod was at Florida State before he came to Tennessee, so he brought that proud winning tradition with him and established that early with his team. His first Tennessee team was below 500, but the second team was 41 games.
There's a solid single to center field by Christensen. You can see he has really got a sweet swing. When he gets that barrel out in front, he's got some power working. So a one-out single to center by Christensen off Wade, and that will bring Stevie Daniel to the plate. Daniel grounded to short in the second inning to lead off the inning, so he's hitting for the second time in as many innings. Just to finish the thought that you started about Rod Delmonico, the outstanding coach of the University of Tennessee, when he was at Florida State, his first year there, they had the #1 recruiting class in the nation. And I believe that was 1984.
And he had plenty to do with that.
Yeah,
when
he was the primary recruiter that year.
And then that's one of the reasons why he became there's Coach Delmonico. They're one of the reasons he became a hot ticket out there was he was bringing in these great classes for Coach Mike Martin to help coach up. So when you can bring in talent and you work as hard as you do in baseball as Rod Delmonico does, see their ball gets away from the catcher, a runner at second.
That's not going to happen very often. Let's see what happens.
Well, it was one of those, it was one of those 55-foot curveballs that John Wilson wasn't able to get in front of. Scott Wade didn't help his catcher out as much as he normally does. Ball gets to the backstop, puts a runner in scoring position for Tennessee.
They take the throw back to second base. Tennessee always a threat to run at any time.
Having to finish up on Rod Delmonico, a humorous side, one other thing he brought with him, a lot of uniforms at Tennessee, just like Florida State. You look at Florida State, they have a uniform for every day of the week and probably 2 for Sunday, and the University of Tennessee Vols also have that same thing. I know he likes that because of the players that get jazzed up about wearing different outfits, and he likes to keep them involved as much as possible.
Harrison had to wait. He got an in-between hop. The throw is down the right field line. Here comes Christensen. They're going to wave him on home. He scores. The throw goes through to third, and Daniel is in there sliding. So Tennessee has tied the game here in the bottom of the third. Boy, a costly error by Harrison. Daniel goes all the way around to third. Christensen scores on the play, and Harrison is down.
Yeah, he took a shot off of him when that ball was hit. I think that ball hit off of him, off the upper part of his body. And so he had a tough time. He had a tough time making the play, and then you can see why he hurried the throw because he's trying to get the run over. There's a shot down to third, Dave, and he takes one of those in-between bounces, and then the ball goes through his glove, hits him in the face. He stays with it. Vince Harrison is a football player too, so he's got that toughness about him. Stays with it and ends up compounding the first error off the glove by making the second error on the throw, and now he's getting some medical attention.
So we'll see if Vince can stay in the game. I'm not surprised if he doesn't have a split lip. That was a tricky hop.
The tricky hop for him. He had the glove up in position to get it, but it seemed like something happened on that second and that in-between shot, and it went page. It kind of ticked off his glove and caught him there, as you said, probably has a split lip now, and the trainer attending to him.
Hey, you know, up here it's easy to say he misplayed that ball, but when you're down at the hot corner, you only have a fraction of a second to make the choice. Ooh, and he took the full brunt of that deflection.
Yeah, but notice how he stayed with it. I know that there was another error on the throw here. You know, people were saying, well, he compounded it by, you know, he had one error, he should have just held the ball. But as a competitor, he stayed with it the whole time. It didn't hurt him until after he had thrown away the other ball. Now it hurts more, not so much because, you know, yes, the injury, but because he made another error that hurt his ball club and brought in a run for Tennessee. But I'm willing to bet that he's going to stay out there and play.
He's acting like it. He is definitely acting like it. Well, you know, when UK beat Tennessee in extra innings last night, 7-5, they snapped a 5-game winning streak of the Vols. And now we are all even at 2. 2-7-1 for Tennessee, 2-3-2 for UK.
Yeah, so go back to Keith Madison, the head coach. He got his degree in geography at Western Kentucky. I'm going to play a little geography with you here, Dave.
All right.
One of the reasons that this is such a fierce rivalry, Tennessee and Kentucky, the way the Southeastern Conference is placed geographically, Kentucky only has one state that borders them, and that's Tennessee. All right, so that's the border war for them. So the rest of the states are down below Kentucky that they have to go play. That intensifies their rivalry with Tennessee because you're going after a lot of the same kids. Kids grow up with the Tennessee-Kentucky rivalry, seeing it, feeling it, hearing it. You know, you look at Scott Wade from Sullivan South in Kingsport. You know, that's not too far from the line anyway. So you have a lot of that going on over in East Tennessee, and then it just continues on. So these teams have a real that love-hate relationship. Not much love, all right? A lot more on the hate side.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big-time rivalry for him. You see Keith Madison out there checking on his player, having some concern, see if he'll be able to go.
It looks like he wants to stay in there. Hopefully they got the bleeding stopped. You mentioned Harrison played football at UK in '98. Scored 2 touchdowns. Scored a touchdown. You talk about rivalries. How about the Kentucky rivalry with U of L, University of Louisville? First time he touched the football against the Cardinals, he went for a 23-yard touchdown.
And that was in a big win for Kentucky, too. Tim Couch was the quarterback then, and they had a big win. And then last year, University of Louisville went down to Lexington and reversed that and laid it on them pretty well. Because that first game that Vince Harrison scored the touchdown, that was the christening of Papa John's Stadium at Louisville. And Kentucky went up there and jumped them pretty well. Louisville returned the favor last year. You're right, that's a heated rivalry also.
Justin Parker, right fielder, steps in. We're ready for the action now. And the first pitch from Wade. Fastball stays outside. We're all even now at 2. 1 out. And Stevie Daniel at third base. Just 90 feet away. Kentucky trying to choke off that go-ahead run if they can. Lights are on now. Lights have just come on here at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. This facility got a $2.2 million overhaul back in 1993.
Yeah, when I was here going to school, all you had was field.
Fly ball, left field. Daniel is tagging. Here comes the throw to the plate. They're going to let it come through. No second. Harrison cuts it off. The run scores. Tennessee has its first lead of the game, 3-2.
Sacrifice fly there for Justin Parker. Brings in a run, an RBI for him. But you look at it, there's no one else on base. So, you know, you wonder why Vince Harrison was cutting that one off. I think it's just a momentary lapse on his part to cut off that ball. Not sure it would have gotten him anyway, but at the same time, you got to take the chance. You know, no reason to cut that one off there.
It's been a tough inning for Vince.
Yeah, he'll like to get to the dugout, regroup a little bit, and he'll go back out and play at a high level again.
Here's Massey. Massey started the 2-out rally in the second inning. That ball, Wade was able to get a piece of it. He flagged it down, chased it down, and gunned Massey out by a step. So that goes 1-3 on the putout, and that ends the inning. But in the frame, 2 runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and nobody left on base. And we have played 3 complete, and the Tennessee Vols lead Kentucky 3-2. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at last night's scores around the SEC. We talked about Georgia and their great start. Well, Auburn flexed their baseball muscles last night on the Plains big time, 18-6. Yeah. Gross, the reigning SEC Player of the Week, 4 for 4 last night, including a homer, 6 RBI.
And he wants to make his coach Hal Baird's last season a good one. Hal Baird done such a great job at Auburn for all those years. One of the deans of the SEC in coaching. You know, he's going to go ahead and announce his retirement. What a class act he has been, and his team wants to send him out right.
All right, Mississippi State was undefeated in conference play until last night's game against Alabama. Crimson Tide wins that 9-6. Florida scored the winning run on a pass ball, and they beat Arkansas in 11, 8-7. Kentucky and Tennessee, we watched that game here last night. Good ball game. Wildcats won it with 2 runs in the 10th. South Carolina loses to LSU. Witten with a big clutch 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th. And Vanderbilt still winless in conference play. Ole Miss got him last night 4-0.
Yeah, Ole Miss still smarting from being swept by Tennessee the week before. They hadn't been swept at home since 1998, I believe. So they were smarting a little bit from that. LSU, you mentioned it at the top, not playing the same style where they had all the big hitters, the big boppers from before. They're playing a little bit different style, a little more pitching, a little more defense, a little more hit and run. But they've started to fashion themselves a pretty good winning streak too. I believe that's 6 or 7 in a row that they have won. And even though South Carolina lost last night, they're still having a heck of a season. What a great record they've got. They're one of the top pitchers in the league, and Kip Boaknight.
SEC baseball action continues next weekend as the Vanderbilt Commodores head south to take on the Florida Gators. Next Saturday at 4 Eastern, right here on SEC TV. Set to move to the 4th now. Robert Newton, first baseman, steps in, skied to center to end the first inning. 0 for 1. Here's the first pitch from Brian Gates. And so Gates, Charles, who started this game rather shakily, has been staked to a 1-run lead by his Vol teammates.
Well, that's the beauty of this game and the beauty of college baseball. If you hang in there and battle, and let's give Brian Gates some credit, because he did hang in there and battle in those innings where he had a little tough going, a little tough sledding. He did it. He hung in there with his team, and then his team came up and got their bats going. So now, instead of looking at a deficit, he's looking at a lead. He's going to pitch with a little more confidence now.
Newton with a drive to left. That ball is gone. An opposite field home run for Robert Newton.
And when I say pitch with a little more confidence,
you didn't mean groove it, did you?
I didn't mean that much confidence. Nice shot by Robert Newton, knocking that ball opposite field home run for him.
All right, so Newton with his 3rd homer of the season. He's now got 17 RBI, and just like that, we're tied. How about that opposite field power? Well, you know, the moment the ball came off the bat, Moffett in left field just turned and headed for the fence. He couldn't do anything about this thing.
Yeah, that's always a clear indication for you when the outfielder turns and then it's just kind of warily backing up. He's giving it an effort. You see Moffett giving it an effort, but he just had no chance to get that one. Nice shot by Robert Newton.
All right, so after the power display by Newton, Seth Morris squares around and tries to bunt his way on. Not fooling Bennett. He's even with the bag down at 3rd. You see Morris doubled and scored his first time up. He doubled to the base of the center field wall to lead off the 2nd inning for the Kentucky Wildcats. We're tied at 3.
And even though Morris's bunt attempt didn't work, as you see the hero there, Newton, in the dugout getting a drink of that good Gatorade. But, you know, even though it didn't work, not a bad play by Morris, because oftentimes you catch a team back on its heels after a home run, head down a little bit and saying, wow, well, you know, what just happened to us? Drop a bunt on them and try and get your way on. In football, what you try and do after a big play is you go for the big bomb.
Yeah.
You know, baseball, you get a big bomb, then you play small ball and go to the bunt, a little bit opposite.
And it's a called strike 3. And for Gates, that's his first strikeout of the game. Breck Price, left-handed hitting DH, steps in. He walked in the 2nd. sends this one down the left field line. That's going to be trouble. That ball is in there. That's a fair ball. And Price rounds third, and he'll just hang on. That ball came off the fist, and there were 3 balls in hot pursuit. Moffett, Daniel, and Bennett, and it dropped into that Bermuda Triangle for a 1-out single.
And that's when, as a hitter, you say, thank goodness for aluminum. Because if that's a wood bat, that bat either breaks or splinters, or you don't get the same type of drive off of that one. Again, it goes back to what pro scouts talk about with pitchers. They have to spend more time in college fooling them because, you know, you throw a good fastball or something, it still springs out of there. It discourages the pitcher. You know, Brenda Gates just has to keep firing because it was a good pitch.
Was a good pitch. Now the number 9 hitter in the lineup for Kentucky, Jeff Meade, is at the plate. Meade was aboard via fielder's choice in the second inning. And Price goes diving back. You know, when that ball came off the bat, I thought for a second he was going to try to take an extra base.
Yeah, I thought he was too, but I think he got fooled himself. I think he might have thought it was going to go foul first, and then when it dropped in, he had to hold to a single. And there's another one.
Base hit by Meade to left, and Price was on the move. He was running on the pitch. So he had a big sigh of relief when the ball landed about 10 feet in front of Moffett.
And he didn't have to get on his horse and retreat and go backwards. And now we got a little sprinkle here, sending some of our people in the crowd for umbrellas and underneath the stands. But the players will soldier on and play through.
Yeah, the rain forecast was for scattered showers here in Knoxville. Lights are already on, and it's only 5:15 Eastern time. Back to the top of the order, Andy Green. Green trying to be aboard for the 3rd consecutive time. In the first, he led off the game with a shot that Stevie Daniel could not handle at shortstop for the Vols. Eventually, he came around to score the game's first run, and in the second inning, he singled. Swing and a check foul right at his feet.
Brian Gates being very careful here. Andy Green, one of the better hitters on the Kentucky Ball Club, came into the game hitting .402. 1 for 2 today, as you mentioned. Got aboard with an error first, and then a base hit in the first, and a base hit in the second. And swinging the bat very, very well with a runner in scoring position. Brian Gates must be careful.
2 men on, just 1 out. Kentucky has already scored a run on a solo home run by Robert Newton to begin the 4th. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Stays high, 1-2. So after Gates retired the side in order for the only time tonight in the 3rd, Newton leads off the 4th with an opposite field solo home run. Ties the game at 3. After Morris was caught looking, Price and Meade have put back-to-back singles on the board. And here's a pop-up into short left field. Moffett has a beat on it, squeezes it, 2 are gone. Here's Beau Moore.
Ryan Moffett tracking that one down left field. He's a happy guy to be back in Knoxville. He went to University of North Carolina, Asheville, right out of school because, as he put it, they never even called here in Knoxville. Guy right under their nose, playing in town, had a fine high school career, but they didn't think he was ready. Went to Asheville, had a great year, and made a phone call back, and they said, sure, come on back. He came back here, and he said he's having a nice year for him so far, hitting over 340.
He hit over 400 last year and was named as the Big South Conference Freshman of the Year. So he said, thank you very much. Took the certificate and transferred to Tennessee.
A little bit different path. Ordinarily, that's a junior college path. You go to junior college and transfer back to your school, but this one went to a D1 school, played well there, and now he's back home.
Beau Moore, the hero of last night's game. If you're joining us late, Moore collected the double in the 10th inning of last night's series opener that brought home the eventual winning run in a 7-5 Kentucky win in 10 innings here in Knoxville over Tennessee. Moore is 0 for 2 today. Moore, shot to the right side. Fine diving play. A fine play over there by Ryan Case, saves a run, and the inning is over. What a fine defensive play by the Vols. We're through 4 complete, tied at 3.